Hi there, and welcome to my video on affirmative action. Affirmative action is a policy that aims to increase opportunities for underrepresented groups in society. It has been a controversial topic for many years, but it is still an important issue to discuss. In this video, we're going to talk about the history of affirmative action, the different types of affirmative action, and the arguments for and against it. Affirmative action is a set of policies and practices that aim to increase opportunities for historically underrepresented groups in areas such as education, employment, and government contracting. These policies may include giving preferential treatment to these groups in admissions, hiring, and promotions. Affirmative action has been a controversial issue in the United States since it was first implemented in the 1960s. Supporters of affirmative action argue that it is necessary to correct the effects of past discrimination and to ensure that all groups have an equal opportunity to succeed. Opponents of affirmative action argue that it is unfair to give preferential treatment to some groups over others, and that it can lead to reverse discrimination. There is no consensus on whether affirmative action is effective or not. Some studies have found that affirmative action has helped to increase the representation of minority groups in education and employment. Other studies have found that affirmative action has had little or no impact, or that it has even had a negative impact on minority groups. The debate over affirmative action is likely to continue for many years to come. There are strong arguments on both sides of the issue, and it is a complex issue with no easy answers. Here is a more detailed overview of affirmative action. History of affirmative action. Affirmative action was first implemented in the United States in the 1960s, as part of the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibited discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin in employment. The Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1972 extended these protections to education and other areas. Types of affirmative action. There are two main types of affirmative action: numerical goals and flexible goals. Numerical goals set a specific target for the number of minority students or employees that an institution or organization must have. Flexible goals set a target, but allow for some flexibility in how it is met. Arguments for affirmative action. Supporters of affirmative action argue that it is necessary to correct the effects of past discrimination. They argue that minority groups have been historically disadvantaged, and that affirmative action is necessary to level the playing field. They also argue that affirmative action can help to increase diversity, which can lead to better decision-making and innovation. Arguments against affirmative action. Opponents of affirmative action argue that it is unfair to give preferential treatment to some groups over others. They argue that affirmative action can lead to reverse discrimination, where qualified white and Asian applicants are passed over for less qualified minority applicants. They also argue that affirmative action can stigmatize minority groups, by suggesting that they are not qualified to succeed without special help. Current status of affirmative action. Affirmative action is currently legal in the United States, but it has been challenged in court several times. In 2003, the Supreme Court ruled in Grutter v. Bollinger that affirmative action could be used in college admissions, but that it must be narrowly tailored and must not be used to achieve a quota. In 2013, the Supreme Court ruled in Fisher v. University of Texas that affirmative action could still be used in college admissions, but that the University of Texas had not shown that it was necessary to achieve diversity. The future of affirmative action is uncertain. The Supreme Court could further restrict or even overturn affirmative action in the future. However, affirmative action is still supported by a majority of Americans, and it is likely to remain a part of the American legal landscape for many years to come. In addition to the arguments for and against affirmative action, there are also some practical considerations that need to be taken into account. For example, affirmative action can be expensive to implement, and it can be difficult to measure its effectiveness. Additionally, affirmative action can sometimes lead to resentment from white and Asian applicants who feel that they are being discriminated against. Despite these challenges, affirmative action remains a controversial but important issue in the United States. It is a complex issue with no easy answers, but it is one that deserves careful consideration. Thanks for watching.